Good morning. This is Boys Bunnings Build, and this is our project, Tectonic Landscape, a project that aims to enhance the connection between user, landscape, and ceremony. The following presentation acts as a distillation of our design from the conceptual to documentation stage, built on the foundations of light and shade, ritual and ceremony, and a critical analysis of site and context. With a focus on creating and working with landscape, the primary concept is that of embedding the tea house precinct into the landscape, both physically and metaphorically, with the ambition of engaging the users with landscape and to diminish the threshold between what is legible as a garden and what is interior ground plane treatment becomes critical. Interstitial spaces between the ground plane and the corresponding canopy roof structure create a volume full of energy for a tea ceremony to spill from. From early in the design, the interplay of light and shadow was imperative to the project. Careful consideration went into the testing of three key light qualities that would manifest themselves into the very fabric of the tea house, working in an uninhibited way with the ritual and experience. Considered control of direct light, playful use of dappled light, and soft indirect light are all engaged in a way to improve the experiential qualities of the ceremony. Understanding the ritualistic aspects of the traditional Chinese tea ceremony is imperative to the project, being such a highly social occasion. The way people interact with each other and their surroundings was studied. Through engagement with the ideas and pertinent symbolism of a tea ceremony, the ideas of connection to water and nature was further emboldened, and from this experience, we understood the necessity to make a ceremony as dynamic and connected to movement as possible. From the collection of tea leaves to the boiling of water over a fire, nature and landscape play a vital role in the entire process and therefore should be considered during every step of the ritual and design decision made. Site analysis uncovered key circulation pathways, orientation and connection to surroundings at both a macro and micro scale in order to get a feeling for the most appropriate way to move forward with an intervention. From this, three key views were identified, namely the rice fields to the west, ponds to the south, and trees to the north. Nearby uses such as the existing tea house, restaurant, and pavilions also suggest an activation of the site's southern peripheries. From a better understanding of the site and local condition, the arrangement of the spaces, circulation, and interior relationships between the two was iteratively resolved with key design drivers involved. The main tea house positioned to the south of the project allows for good natural light, connecting to existing pathways and working to create a more private and intimate experience to the smaller tea houses to the north. This spatial arrangement allowed for the build-up of greeting spaces and the ability to engage users with the garden landscape through circulation. The tea ceremony's social nature is encouraged through a long table that fosters interaction and removes hierarchy. Inspired by Tanazaki's, the bathroom plays a critical role in the overall experience and is designed to be a place of reflection, connection to nature and beauty. Placement of the bathrooms afford intimacy and uninhibited view of the serene landscape surrounds. Framing views is a carefully composed strategy to link the foreground and background of the project. Views out across the adjacent field, into the vegetation to the north, as well as views into the structure are considered. This thinking led to the creation of a landscape berm for gathering, acting as a lobby space for interacting and the building up of excitement and intrigue before ceremonies, and considered reflection and discussion afterwards. Water's role in the ceremony is critical and becomes a key feature in the scheme. Water is celebrated and plays a vital role in defining the spaces, as well as interacting with the ceremony itself. The central table contains a channel that feeds into the water channel, disposing of excess water used in the ceremony. Water channels move water throughout the site, forming thresholds and symbolizing the water cycle through a rain garden system, a kinetic and acoustic sensory system. Hearths serve tectonic and symbolic functions, connecting the ceremony with the element of fire, whilst providing respite to the site's cold winters. It is intended that the hearths would be involved in the heating of the tea during ceremonies, with each tea house fitted with a private hearth. Gardens respond to their adjacent spaces, with the journey through the project explored through meadows, berms, and shade trees. A sensory investigation helps connect the landscape to the ritual ceremony, as a focus on wildflowers, aromatics, colours, and texture becomes semiotics for the tea ceremony. To enhance the ritualistic nature of the tea ceremony, the procedure and the intangible aspects have been explored and incorporated into the project to enhance the interaction with the built form. The arrival sequence aims to ambulate the users through the garden, before being embraced by the deep overhang and seamlessly moved into the more intimate spaces. It is this gathering space that the users can interact with the hearth, socialise and reflect on the berm, looking back at the smoke rising over the dynamic roof form that cantilevers over the garden, imbuing a sense of floating. It is from here that the lobby plays a part in the experience, and the patrons can move throughout the precinct, entering the main tea house or heading down the central circulation spine to the private tea houses, bathroom, or wood supply. Once inside, interaction with fire and water elements become clear, with the hearth and table water channels coming alive during the ceremony, as one can look out directly into the garden or up into the light-filled clerestory, or simply meditate, soaking in the sounds of nature and the smells of the blossoming flowers. Through the following walkthrough, these thought processes and ideas are brought to life. The most important drawings for understanding the ambitions and dynamic spaces, both internally and externally, is the section. Working in section allowed for a greater spatial understanding, as well as forming the basis for incorporating the distinct light qualities into the project, with carefully considered openings for light and shadow. The key material palette employs shingles and thatch for the surface treatment of the sloping roof forms. Within the private circulation space, a valley of thatch and garden is created to imbue a sense of playfulness and a sense of compression and release. Skylights distill our explorations into light and shadow, offering an arsenal of lighting qualities. Operable windows offer control and framing of the garden landscape, as well as permitting light and enclosure. These sections illustrate the main tea room's volume and connection to landscape, as well as the intimacy of the amenities used. The southern facade activation creates a dialogue with the existing tea house. The sectional perspective captures the spatial qualities as well as demonstrating the technical resolution of elements, which worked in collaboration with our model-making process. Buildability and tectonic is vital to the design, with technical resolution of elements carefully considered to express the concept. Exaggerated edge conditions, deep overhangs, and grated floors exacerbate the idea of a floating canopy interfacing with the base. Suspended walkways also allow the garden to flow throughout the interstitial spaces between the tea houses and for the water channels to operate underneath the feet of people walking along the spine. The distinct sections of the project, the roof, frame, mass, and hearth, are coherently assembled so that they read as a singular feature in the landscape, all with direct spatial qualities. Circulation between the main tea houses and private tea houses is distinctly private and intimate. A thatched valley creates an environment of coziness, enriched texture and verticality. It raises questions over what is wall and roof. The vegetation and treatment of the garden landscape revolves around imbuing a sensory experience. Flowers, water channels and containers and deep garden beds create a very tactile landscape that is visually meditative and full of life and energy. Internally, the tea house becomes an extension of the garden, acting as a place to interact, engage and ponder, exhibiting the desired light qualities, encroaching perimeter planting and movement of water. The space is not designed to dictate program, but to hopefully foster a place for socializing and reflection. And when the ceremony ends, people can spill out and seek refuge around the hearth and talk in the berm into the night. Thank you for listening and see you on the site.